2 is upon us on this Valentine's Day 2014. Hope you're going to do something special tonight with your sweetheart if you have one, and if you don't have one, hope you find one soon. Unless, of course, that's not your bowl of rice. Now, we had a question before about from the live chat this morning as to what is a healthy blood sugar level. Well, this, again, is an interesting thing to talk about because, remember, the MDs have thrown the baby out with the bathwater. They don't think the body has the ability to fix itself, and so, therefore, most of their points of view are incorrect based upon pre-existing bias that they don't even know is there, like an art critic who's colorblind but doesn't know he's colorblind. Right? So, the blood parameters that MDs draw up in order to tell you whether or not you're okay are based on pathology. They will flag as a problematic once the house is, engulfed in flames, as opposed to the smoke detector, which goes off when there's just a little bit of smoke in the house. The blood work that the MDs use, the reference ranges that they use, are based on pathology. They have nothing to do with functionality. Therefore, their numbers are wrong. And one of these days, I'm going to do an expose on how they developed the numbers in the first place, and which is horrifyingly juvenile and laughable. In any event, it's reality by consensus. Every MD in the world, because my Harvard medical doctor told me that these are the correct blood numbers, and that's what we're going to believe are the correct blood numbers, and damn the torpedoes. From my point of view, I like to see hemoglobin A1C be between 4.8 and 5.6. 4.8 and 5.6. If you're inside of that range, you're healthy. If you're outside of that range, you need help. 4.8 to 5.6 is my recommendation for a healthy blood sugar hemoglobin A1C reading. Get it? Got it. Good. Let's go to California, one of my favorite states, the People's Republic of California, as our friend John Keating often calls it on the live chats. Let's go to Jim in California and see what's cracking. Hey, Jim, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Thanks for taking my call. I'm calling for a friend of mine who lives in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And about 3 weeks ago, I sent him the following items. I sent him Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
Yep.
EFA and EFA Plus.
Yep.
Cardio FX.
Yep.
And Osteo FX.
Yeah.
Now, here's his situation. As I said, he's 70 years old. He weighs approximately 154 pounds, 5 feet 3 inches tall, has some serious heart problems. He's retaining a lot of water. They just drained off 12 kilograms, which I believe is about 20 pounds.
Yep.
And he's got this pain down his left arm. They're telling him that he has a valve in his heart that is being blocked by plaque where he cannot close completely.
Mm-hmm.
So this is putting, great stress on his heart, on him, and everything else. So I talked with him last night. His question now is, since he's got calcium blocking the valve from closing, he's wondering if he should be taking the OsteoFX and if there's any other thing that he should be doing.
Smart man. Excellent question. Really good question, don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah, I do too. It's a really very good question. It means he's paying attention, means he's involved with his health, and therefore, from my point of view, when I work with patients like this, it always makes me much more optimistic because I know they're going to do what I tell them to do because they're smart. And when a smart person understands something, they'll take that ball and run with it, right? So when there's a lot of things that can cause plaque to build up on an artery, and when doctors use the term plaque, God only knows what they mean. Sometimes it's an atherosclerotic plaque. That means it's cholesterol. It's a cholesterol sludge that builds up. Sometimes it's a calcium deposit, a frank calcium deposit. So
I think they told him it was calcium.
All right, so if it's a frank calcium deposit, that's caused not by the presence of calcium, which your body has massive needs for. Your body needs 1,200 milligrams or more of nutritional calcium a day in order to regulate. It needs calcium to regulate blood pressure. It needs calcium to regulate nerve transmissions. It needs calcium to regulate your heartbeat. It needs calcium to regulate whether you're bleeding or not. It's called the clotting cascade. And, of course, it needs calcium to keep the skeleton, the bones, and the joints healthy. Calcium is a massive nutritional need of the human body, and it is virtually impossible to overdose with calcium. I mean, you can do it, but it's really hard, man. You know, too much water will kill you, right? But that's hard to do, too. Too much sunlight will kill you, but that's hard to do, too. So when calcium builds up anywhere in the body, it's not because there's an abundance of calcium. It's because there's a lack of magnesium. Calcium deposition anywhere in the body, from our point of view, is caused by not enough magnesium, period.
Is there magnesium in any of these things I sent him?
Yeah, and this speaks to the wisdom of Dr. Wallach and the wisdom of the holistic message, because you don't just need magnesium, man. You don't just need calcium. You don't just need iron. You don't just need zinc or vitamin C. There are 90 essential nutrients that you need. And when you give the body all of them, which he's getting, by the way, in the form of the stuff that you gave him, that provides all the essential nutrients in a really nice, balanced recipe that his body needs. The body sucks that stuff up like nobody's business. And giving a holistically based nutritional supplement that's got everything that he needs in absorbable doses is 1,000 times better than just giving him, an intravenous drip of magnesium, right? Which is what the MDs would do if they figured this out. Quite frankly, I'm surprised they haven't recommended that. So, yes, there's magnesium in the stuff that you've sent him because of this particular condition. If he wants to follow through and continue to do this, the next time you send him stuff, you should switch the OsteoFX to Cal Toddy. That's CalToddy. Now, that's a Youngevity product, but it's made not by Youngevity, but by a subsidiary of Youngevity called SupraLife. And when you go into the back order office to order your Youngevity stuff, there's a drop-down list of all the different companies. And if you click on the SupraLife tab, that's Supra, Super Life, there's a product called Cal Toddy. That has twice as much magnesium as the Beyond OsteoFX does, and it would be better for him given his current state of affairs. Now,
okay, let me ask you one more question. They're trying to get him to go in and let them operate on his heart valve. Do you recommend that?
Well, you can't, of course. Well, so here's the deal. And again, it all falls back to common sense, right? When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So the MDs, not knowing anything other than surgery and pharmaceuticals, are going to recommend that he has surgery and pharmaceuticals because from their point of view, it's his only choice, right?
Yes.
Because they don't have any experience with what we do. Now, I was in the presence of a guy who's a pastor in Chicago. He had really bad congestive heart failure. He was easily 30 pounds, had 30 pounds of water on him. Dr. Wallach interviewed him and told him what to take, and when Dr. Wallach was sitting with this guy, he had a little beeper on his wrist or on his ankle somewhere, and he said, look, I'm on a list for a heart, and if this beeper goes off, could be any minute, I have to leave and go to the hospital. They have a heart waiting for me on a block of ice. That's how bad his heart was.
Wow.
That's how bad his situation was. He started Wallach's medical nutrition program, and within 48 hours, he peed out all the water that he had. He peed it all out. It came out within 48 hours of doing this program. And within a couple of weeks, the heart had normalized to the point that he didn't need heart surgery anymore. And that's remarkable. So my point is,
we should send him?
Well, yeah, there's one other thing that you should send this guy. There's actually two other things that you should send him. You should send him the Ultimate Daily Capsules. The Ultimate Daily Capsules. And selenium. You should give him selenium.
And more selenium. Yeah. Okay.
Are you giving him selenium already?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so the recommendation for this condition would be 3 bottles of selenium, and 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules. Now, man, my recommendation, unless it's a life-threatening emergency, like he's got 48 hours to live, right? Always avoid surgery, because you can't never undo the surgery. The MDs can't guarantee anything with the surgery. And let's say, it's not a life-threatening situation yet, and there's a window of opportunity to intervene and to intervene here. So let's say we give him medical nutrition for 2 weeks or for 21 days. We just give it to him every day, and he sucks it up like a person starving of thirst. Even if his heart is too far gone for medical nutrition to fix it, even if that's the case, and it may be. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. It may be beyond the point of no return. It may not be, though. But even if it is, going into heart surgery with a body that's been nutrified for 3 or 4 weeks is much, 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 much better than going into surgery with an undernutrified body, right?
Right.
It's kind of like going outside in freezing cold weather in your bathing suit, or going outside in freezing cold weather in a snowsuit. Well, which is better? The snowsuit. So even if the situation is beyond the ken of medical nutrition to help, the medical nutrition will prepare his body in a profound way to be able to handle the stress of surgery. So it's like never fail fudge. You can't lose here. I'd have him avoid it for 3 weeks if it's, not a medical emergency. Keep his fingers crossed. And, let the healing begin, man. And thank you, Jim, for taking a stand for the health of somebody in your life. You are exactly the kind of person that is attracted to longevity, because you're a compassionate human being who cares about others, and I appreciate you. Give us a call back in a couple of weeks with an update. If you're interested in what we talk about and you hable español, you want to go to radar90.com, radar90.com, and listen to our next guest here, Avi, and his wife, Donis, as they talk about all things longevity to the Spanish-speaking population of the world. Welcome back, Avi. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you again, Dr. Glidden, for taking my call. First of all, I want to wish a very happy Valentine's to everybody in the world, especially
Absolutely.
you and my wife.
All right, give it to me in Spanish. Give it to me in Spanish. Come on.
Quiero felicitar a todo el mundo por un feliz día de San Valentín.
It just rolls right off your tongue, man. What I wouldn't give to be able to speak Spanish like that. No kidding. If I could speak Spanish like that, Abby, between you and I, we could take over the world.
We will one day. Today I have a very important question. Let's just think about this scenario for a second, because I want to know the risk here. A person that personally has HIV or AIDS, whether not really sure, had tuberculosis in the past. It doesn't have it anymore. Had it in the past. Is exposed, or actually is introduced into a group of people, and in this group of people there is a child, 2 to 3 years old, that has never been vaccinated, but is using the 90 for Life constantly, almost twice or 3 times according to the body weight. Basically, is getting a lot of nutrition. The one person believes that the child is at risk because of this person's presence. I, on the other hand, believe there is no risk at all. Which one is correct?
Well, so this person had tuberculosis in the past. They had active symptoms of tuberculosis, and they went under treatment, and they recovered from tuberculosis?
That's what the person says.
Okay. So tuberculosis is a weird disease. It was discovered in the early 1900s. It was known about for a long time, but there was a guy, I think his name was Koch, Robert Koch, I think. He got the Nobel Prize for it in the early 1900s for discovering the bacteria that was responsible for causing tuberculosis. They called it Mycobacterium tuberculinum or something like that. In any event, tuberculosis is caused by a bacterial infection. However, it's weird, man, because over 90%, the rough estimates are about 90% of people that are exposed to the bacteria, that have the bacteria in their bodies, are asymptomatic. They have no symptoms of tuberculosis whatsoever. It's like they've developed a symbiotic relationship with the bacterium. Now, only about 10%, not even, 10% is a high number. It's more like 5 to 8% of the people that were infected and have been a carrier for tuberculosis actually develop overt, frank signs and symptoms of tuberculosis. Now, this means you, me, anybody in the freaking world can be a carrier of tuberculosis and have no idea whatsoever that you're a carrier of tuberculosis. Anybody can carry tuberculosis. Now, if somebody was positive definitively for tuberculosis at some point in the past, and then they got the frank signs and symptoms of tuberculosis, and then they got underboard with treatment, and then they recovered, well, does that mean that all the tuberculosis bacteria in their body is gone? And nobody knows. Nobody knows. And this is, again, this underlines and kind of opens up a big Pandora's box about medicine. Because stuff like this should be relatively easy to diagnose, but it's not. Like Lyme disease. You can't tell whether there's actually an infectious thing present now or whether there was one 10 years ago or how the body's dealing with it. It's all guesswork. And, of course, you know, with tuberculosis and nasty things like this, the medical community wants to err on the side of caution, right? So if they suspect that TB is present, they're going to treat for it. And it's a very difficult thing to treat for, by the way. And a lot of patients who have TB, they'll get these very strong antibiotics, and because of the nature of the shape of the bacteria and the cell wall of the bacteria, it's hard for the antibiotic to get in and kill it. It's very hard. So a lot of people who are treated for tuberculosis with drugs develop antibiotic-resistant bacterial infections in other parts of their body, which end up being worse than tuberculosis. It's a very complicated thing to talk about. I have a little bit more to say about this, Abby. You always bring up good questions. Stick around with me, buddy. We got a hard break coming up. Folks, 866-582-9933. Give me a shout. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm talking to our good friend, Abby, from Florida about tuberculosis, and it's a complicated subject. Let me welcome him back. Abby, are you still with me?
Yes.
All right, good. So, do you know, was the child vaccinated against TB?
It's not.
The child has not been vaccinated. All right. Well, so the only thing that you can do here is you can go in and have the child checked. It's a long shot that there was an exposure here. It's a real long shot that there was an exposure. The way that tuberculosis spreads is through sneezing or coughing into your hand and then putting your hands on the tabletop, and then somebody touches the tabletop and then puts their finger in their mouth or whatever. So if the person is just in the room with the child and there was no sneezing going on and no coughing going on, then it's virtually impossible to transmit the illness. So whether HIV or positive or not is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. The testing for tuberculosis is tricky. This is where the real research goes, but they're not going to do it. I don't know why they do it, why they don't do it. Active tuberculosis can be diagnosed if you collect some sputum that the child coughs up and you look at it under a microscope, or there's this thing called a nucleic acid amplification test. But really, the best thing to do is there's a little skin test that they can do. It's called the Manitou, or the Mantoux tuberculinum skin test. You could do that just to keep the parents, kind of like calm, right? You can have the skin test for TB on the child, but it is a real long shot to think that there should have been an active, infection present from this individual. Did any of that make sense, Abby?
Sure. I have another question about this same person.
Yeah.
This person, the way this person described how he got the disease, supposedly got it, it got into a very dirty environment. He told me bad, real bad. He got a lung infection and was diagnosed with tuberculosis. He said there were millions of cockroaches in that place, and they think he got it that way. Anyway, that person, after that, was diagnosed with HIV or AIDS, either. I'm not really sure. But, however, in the same period of time, this person had a child, and the child was born perfect, no problem at all. Nothing shows that the child had HIV or anything like that. So this man is kind of doubtful if he has it or not. He's done a couple of tests in this country and was always positive. He went into another country, which is where he's from, another country. He did it, and he got another positive results. But he still is doubtful because he stopped his medication over a year ago, and he says he's feeling even better without the medication than when he was taking the medication for the HIV or AIDS, whichever.
Yeah.
What would you think about this? Do you think, is there any possibility that he was misdiagnosed, even though he's done work? He says once you are diagnosed, we'll put in a database, and every time they look at, they put your name on it, they try to basically link the new results to the real existence of, you're in the database. That's why he's...
Yeah, so what I would recommend he does is have another HIV test under an anonymous name. Right.
Okay.
That's what I would have him do in the United States. I would have him do that in the United States under an anonymous name and see what the test results are. And, right, there's a difference between HIV and AIDS. Okay. AIDS will kill you, and because your immune system has become compromised by the presence of the HIV virus. But you can live. Magic Johnson's lived, 30 years now, HIV positive, and one of the reasons that he's surviving as long as he does is because he's actively taking selenium every day, which keeps his immune system nice and strong. Now, another interesting fun fact to know and tell about tuberculosis is people that have an active tuberculosis, right? They've got positive signs and symptoms for tuberculosis, and they have a test and it shows positive for the tuberculosis bacteria. When those people get treatment and the tuberculosis goes away, those people are no longer infectious. Those people are no longer infectious. So if this guy had tuberculosis, frank tuberculosis, they treated him for it and it went away, then he's no longer infectious. So, there's a lot of gray information in this report. I really wouldn't be worried about it. But the scary thing to understand, Bill and Melinda Gates, right, from the Gates Foundation, the richest man in the world. Well, one of his things with the Gates Foundation is to end tuberculosis. That's one of the things. Because tuberculosis is still very prevalent in third world countries because of, bad sanitation and cows are, being fed crap. And one of the vectors for transmission of tuberculosis is drinking milk from a cow that's been infected with TB. And so that's also why pasteurization was developed. The pasteurization of milk was developed to eliminate tuberculosis transmission. It's very interesting history, tuberculosis across the board. But, if this guy had it in the past, it was active, and he got treated for it and it went away, then he's no longer infectious. And that's the long and the short of it. So I would just have him get tested under a different name or as an anonymous person and see whether or not the test comes back positive. I cannot tell you, Abby, how much incompetence I have witnessed in conventional medical circles, which is separate and distinct from the methodology and the philosophy of medicine that the MDs are trained in. The philosophy of training that the MDs are trained in is inconsistent with the reality of the human body. It's lopsided. They're like colorblind art critics, and they have all of this built-in prejudice that they're not even aware of that affects all of their findings. When that's a big bad voodoo daddy. That's a problem. But another problem is there's just incompetence. They'll do the wrong diagnostic technique, or they'll get the samples mixed up, or they'll cut the left arm off instead of the right arm, or whatever. So it's not at all unreasonable to assume that this guy was misdiagnosed. It's absolutely positively inside the realm of possibility, you bet. So, better safe than sorry, and, long story short, have the test it again. Avi, I got to move on, brother. You keep up the good work. I appreciate you. And, the Spanish-speaking community has a friend in you. I'm so very excited about what's going to happen to you in the next couple of years. And say hello to your lovely wife, Donis. Thanks, man. All right, Gladys from New York has been waiting patiently. I think she has a grandson with cerebral palsy. Hey, Gladys, thanks for the phone call. Two grandsons. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I am too. But both of them have cerebral palsy. One of them has the cerebral palsy where the left side is, is very, very weak. But he's mature, and the youngest one has hemophagocytosis also. But his mother said he was like, I don't remember exactly what she said about his, but he has the hemophagocytosis thing, where he's a special needs child, you know what I mean? He's developed physically, but you know that there's a shortage because of the way he thinks and the way he acts. Yeah.
Well, cerebral palsy happens in about 2 of every 1,000 live births, and it's referred to as a birth defect. There's no gene that codes for it. There's not even a mutated gene that codes for it. Something happens as the fetus is developing, or in the first couple of years of the child's life, as the brain is developing, to hurt the brain. It's like there's trauma to the brain, or lack of oxygen to the brain, or not enough nutrients in the body so that a little part of the brain doesn't develop the way that it should. And then the child develops cerebral palsy because of it. So it's a very interesting thing to happen. And, what we do in the face of an illness like this is rest on our foundation position that the human body is always trying to fix itself and optimize its structure and function. It's always trying to do that, right?
I believe that.
All right. Now, there is a point of no return, right? I mean, I'm not aware of any therapy that's able to grow back a finger. I mean, if heaven forbid...
No, you don't need... All the fingers are there, but the left side of one of them is weak.
But my point is, there's some things that medicine just can't fix. Like, there's no treatment that's available to be able to grow back a severed limb, right? So sometimes, with the case of cerebral palsy, I don't know how far back the brain is going to be able to bounce because part of it's not there. Part of the brain is missing, kind of like the kid only has 9 fingers, right? It's part of the brain. It's just not there. It developed incorrectly when he was young. It's not there. So, or it's been damaged, right? So what we do is keep our fingers crossed, and we give the body brain nutrients. We load the body up with foundation nutrients and then a little extra brain stuff. We keep our fingers crossed, and we see what happens. There's no downside to this approach at all because the child needs medical nutrition anyway. Everybody needs medical nutrition the same way that everybody needs to drink water and eat food and, take a shower every day. Well, you need medical nutrition too. So, I would give the child a program, wait 12 months and see if there's improvement.
What one of the nutrient packs that would be good for both of them?
Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. The Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. Yeah.
Which one?
The Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. Healthy Brain and Heart Pack.
The Brain and Heart Pack.
Yeah, and selenium. So you give one Healthy Brain and Heart Pack and one selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month.
Uh-huh.
Plus, they have to eat food that's high in cholesterol. Eat food that's high in cholesterol, not low in cholesterol, high in cholesterol.
So that means those eggs, right?
Yeah, eggs and butter and chicken with the skin, but not fried chicken.
Oh, well, yes.
Right,
they have... Because I take the pack myself because of diabetes and arthritis.
Well, how are you doing?
I started 130 this year, January 30th, and I feel so much better today. And I haven't been on it a month yet. And I am excited. I'm telling everybody. And I'm sure when they see me walking without a cane, they are going to be shocked.
Yeah, hallelujah.
Really, really, really. I don't know where you all been in the woodwork all these years that I just heard about this.
Well, we're a 17-year overnight sensation. That's what we are.
Well, I'll tell you, brother, it made me want to go back to school. I got my master's in social work many years in the 60s, in the late 60s. And I said, Lord, I need to go back to school. Well, I tell my kids, I said, well, I'm 28 years old. I'm 82. So I said 28.
Well, listen, go to my website and sign up for my educational series. Become a Dr. Glidden Insider, and that's kind of like going back to school, but a lot better. It's only $20 a month.
What is your website?
FireYourMDNow.com. Boom, baby, boom. Another week. It's come and gone. Happy Friday, everybody. If you're a longevity distributor, every day is Friday because you get to call the shots about how much you work and how you do it. You get to be your own boss in charge of your own destiny. Ain't no glass ceiling here, baby. Let's go to Kathy in Maryland and see what's shaking. Kathy, one thing I have to say.
Well, how are you?
I'm good, but I have to tell you, I feel bad for you because you live in a state, the abbreviation of which is MD. My heart goes out to you.
Yeah, mad doctor. Anyway, I've had arrhythmia. So I've been on something called Maltog, which I wasn't real happy about, especially when I started hearing things on the radio about if you've been taking Maltog, you could be in danger of liver trouble.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I told my doctor right away, you better test my liver, although I don't know that it gives you enough of a real thing when they do the blood test for a liver to really tell you anything. But that's about what they do. Well, he said if you start to have shortness of breath and your legs start to swell, it started to happen, but I didn't do anything right away because my legs would swell up off and on all the time, so sometimes it was cellulitis. But anyway, it happened last week, and it was on Monday. It was really bad. I tried to go into work, and everybody grabbed me and said, we're going to send you in an ambulance to the hospital. And I said, no.
Please.
So I drove over to my doctor's, and my rhythm was in rhythm, and my blood pressure was good, but I was breathing really bad. I was worse than Tim Conway. I could hardly make it anymore. And so he did a echocardiogram and said my heart was really big. And he wanted to find me in the hospital Wednesday. And
said your heart was what? What did he say after the echo? What did he tell you?
It was really weak.
It's really weak. What the hell does that mean? You can't tell anything. You can't tell how strong the heart is from an echocardiogram.
Well, he's saying he's holding his hand out, and this one said it's here too. I ended up in the hospital. I didn't end up going to the hospital with him because I was more afraid that I had pneumonia, because I had a cough and this terrible, breathing. So I wanted to get a X-ray to make sure I didn't have
pneumonia.
I ended up my other doctor, and she says, you're going over to the hospital right now. And so she's right by the hospital. I got put in the hospital. And They did. This was really scary. I don't know why they did this. They did a CAT scan.
Yeah.
Said that would be better than just an X-ray, although they did a...
Yeah, you got played. You got played. You must have really good medical insurance. So, long story short, Kathy, because we only have 2 minutes left.
Right.
Where are you at now, and how can I help?
Well, I'm still in the hospital. I had wanted to get off of Multag, and maybe it was my fault, because my heart was really good, and I was sort of slowing down and taking the Multag.
So you're calling me from the hospital?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I
want to get out of here, baby.
I think that's a first. You got to love that. Well, listen, when you get out of the hospital, so here's what I would recommend you start with. You can order this stuff today, and by the time you get out of the hospital, it'll be at your house, and you can start taking it. So, in order to support and promote the structure and function of the cardiovascular system, regardless of the diagnosis. How much do you weigh, by the way, Kathy?
200.
All right, so here's what you need. You need 2 healthy brain and heart packs. 2.
I take them.
You do 2 healthy brain and heart packs already?
Yeah, I do, and I do Ultimate Daily.
Yeah.
I do Glucogel because of the neck for the arrhythmia, selenium. I take 6 of them a day.
And how about EFAs? How many of those do you take? 6 a day?
I take about 8 or 9.
All right, 9 a day is very good. Have you eliminated the 10 bad foods?
Of course. I'm having a heck of a time in this stupid hospital trying to find something on the menu to eat.
Yeah, no kidding. You're having a heck of a time in the hospital. I wish I had more time here. I'm a little at a loss to tell you what to do immediately, Kathy, especially in 25 seconds. Do me a favor. Call me back on Monday, first thing. I'll take your call first thing, and I'll give you a heads up on what to do moving forward. 3 o'clock Central Time. 3 o'clock Central.
Okay, 3 Central.
I'll look forward to it. Thank you for calling. You get the award. First one to call me from a hospital. God, I got to love it. Ladies and gentlemen, fireyourmdnow.com. Become an insider. Dr. Glidden wishing you a very fantastic weekend. God willing, and the creek don't rise. See you Monday. Live long and prosper.